how do we know when we've met the right partner? I assume that this means a romantic partner rather than a business partner. Unfortunately, there's no formula for it. There isn't some equation that I can give you and say, well, you plug in height is X and weight is Y, and if Z is more than 10, then it's the right partner. If Z is less than 10, it's the wrong partner. There's no equation like that. And the truth really is that what's most important in that relationship is us being the right partner. Because one of the things we speak about in here so frequently is the impact of who we are and how we are on the world around us. And that doesn't mean that there can't be really wrong situations, and no matter how right you are, the situation is just wrong. Someone who's abusive, physically, emotionally, mentally. Someone who clearly would rather, use drugs or be an alcoholic than be in a relationship. There's certainly examples of relationships that we could say, here's how we know it's not the right partner. But barring those sorts of situations where someone just cannot be a partner, what's most important really is that we commit to each other and to ourselves that the relationship is going to be either part of our path or that it's going to be our path. Either way. In an ideal world, the relationship can even be your path. Also, in an ideal world, you could have a path separate from the relationship, but the relationship would support the path. So in some cases, what you find is that the partner is also very, very spiritual. And literally in that marriage is able to be your spiritual path. In other cases, what you may find is that the partner either isn't very spiritual or isn't spiritual exactly in the way you're spiritual, and so it's not going to quite work like that. But nonetheless, you're able to support and to create space for each other's path so that you're able to walk on your path and have the love and support of this person. I think in a relationship, really, what is the most important and how I would judge is if that partner is able to hold space, hold a safe, nurturing, ever expandable container for who you are, such that however you grow, however you change during the course of a relationship, that partner is able to expand. They may not necessarily also grow the same way that you are, but they're able nonetheless to have a space such that your growth, your expansion, your change does not threaten the other person, or that in order for the relationship to stay intact, you don't have to stay in a preset box. So it may be someone who isn't necessarily transforming or growing in the same way you are, but is so comfortable and grounded and connected themselves, so supportive of you, so unthreatened by your growth and expansion. I mean, it sounds crazy to even say that someone you'd be married to or in love with would be threatened by something that was so obviously good for you. And yet it happens. We see it a lot, sadly. You get together at a particular part of your life. One is growing, blossoming, expanding, wanting to keep growing and blossoming and expanding. And that's threatening for the other. And they may not say it explicitly, but nonetheless, the energetic message that gets given is, stay in this box or our relationship is over. Stay in this box or I withdraw my love and support. And that would be a real clear sign to me that it's not the right partner. And of course, it's always hard to know in advance, but you do get sort of an energetic felt sense from someone of the way that they are able to hold space for you and be grounded and connected and comfortable enough themselves that who they are is not dependent on you. And so whether you grow and expand in this way, or you grow and expand in this way, or you don't grow or expand at all, anyway, it shouldn't be threatening to that person. It shouldn't be something that that person had their own happiness or peace hooked into. But rather that they were just able to be together with you in presence energetically. You grow, they grow. You know, like flowers or trees growing out of the same soil. You may not necessarily always grow at the same rate. One may have apples, one may have oranges. But underneath the ground, your roots are connected and able to get strength and nourishment and nourishing from each other. Even though where you're growing, how you're growing, what you're blossoming into may be different. But that deep, deep, deep connection in the soil is there. And I know that's not a very specific equation, but it is a felt sense that we get with someone. And that would be for me the deepest thing to go by. That if someone has a lot attached in how I behave, who I am, how I'm going to grow, what I'm going to do, that might worry me a little bit, because then you've really got to dance according to that person's tune, even if they say it's all for your good. There's just not enough space then for you to really become whoever, whenever, however you are. So that would be my very unspecific answer to it. Because of course there's no cookie cutter to this. One way to know that it's not the right situation, may still be the right person, but just not the right situation, is when you've got a hole inside and that person is filling your hole inside. So you're feeling down, you're feeling unlovable, you're feeling unworthy, you've just broken up from another relationship, you've just gotten fired from your job, you've just, whatever it is, maybe this has been a hole you've had since childhood, and that person comes into your life and suddenly you feel like that hole is full. Suddenly you no longer feel unworthy. Suddenly you no longer feel unlovable. Feels great. Feels wonderful. But it feels wonderful the way that being on heroin feels wonderful to people who take heroin. It's not a long-term solution. It's plugging up a hole artificially. And the problem with it is, well, if it's heroin, you have to keep taking it. And if it's a relationship, the problem with it is you're not actually healing. You're not actually achieving an experience of wholeness. Rather, you've just stopped up your hole with someone else. And that requires you not to change. Because as you change, as your hole changes shape, that other person is not going to fit into it quite so perfectly. And so if the whole relationship is based on how well their metaphoric pegs fit your metaphoric holes, the relationship locks you into a box. It locks you into a box of being full of holes and being needy. And that's not one that has the space for you to grow and transform and change. So this is where it's so important for us in our lives to not look for relationships to fill up our holes, but rather to move into a relationship as a full being. I don't mean a perfect being. If you wait till you're perfect, it'll never happen, I guarantee you. But at least a full being. Fully imperfect, divine and perfect at the core, but imperfect in my experience of my perfection, imperfect in how I relate to my perfection, imperfect in how aware I am of my perfection. So a fully imperfect being moving into a relationship with another fully imperfect being. But being committed, as I was saying before, to keep the roots connected while we nourish ourselves in that soil and grow.